Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today I'm in Beverly Hills, California, and I'm at the 13th Monetize Talks hosted by David Rivero, and I got the other co-founder of Mission Matters here, Chirag Sagar, who was also a speaker today. Chirag, man, first off, I don't see you in person that often. It's good to see you, brother. So you just now spoke, and I feel like today was an unexpected commercial for podcasting. If anybody was on the fence about starting a podcast, so for context, everybody that's watching or listening to this, there were multiple speakers that were touted, including Chirag, of course, which I have a big podcast agency, so pretty obviously we're big in podcasting, but other speakers like Casey Adams and some of the others, they're all talking about podcasting. So I'm like, man, did we luck out today or what?
That was the perfect timing, a perfect storm, right? You got a double whammy. They got the podcast talk in the very beginning. Yeah, I was the first speaker, and then the last speaker, our keynote, went all in on podcasting. Except 50 minutes.
So for those that weren't here and couldn't be in the seats, which by the way, this happens once a month, so you can go to monetizetalks.com if you want to be present at the next event. But for those that weren't here, maybe talk a little bit about your talk today.
Yeah, so today I shared my story, gave the very brief version of my professional journey, kind of how we ended up launching Mission Matters, and kind of stumbled upon this from the books to then the podcast, and then really diving all in personal branding, and then how that dovetailed. So the talk was really focused on why building a personal brand is more important than ever before, and how it can scale your influence, your impact, and your revenue all at the same time, right? Our whole ethos is this concept that your life mission is equivalent to your passion, your purpose, and your profits, how you make money. And believe fundamentally that podcasting is probably the most effective way to build a personal brand today more than ever.
So what were some of your big takeaways from it?
Yeah, I mean, throughout, it was interesting to hear from all the speakers. Affiliate marketing, massive, right? Our host of the evening, David Rivera, that's how he got started.
Yeah.
The high ticket closer, the other Casey. Yeah. That spoke.
Both Casey's killed it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you learn kind of the affiliate marketing. You've got the tidbits on high closing and being a top sales business development person. And then you're getting the podcasting, you're getting the personal branding touch. And then you're getting a little bit of the spirituality and more like finding yourself through Anjali.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting to hear like how even Casey talked about, because the listeners, I mean, they hear pretty often about like we started with, I don't even think our first 300 episodes were even edited. I was just uploading them and we built an audience, we built a fan base, and pretty shocking actually looking back. But to hear Casey's story, very similar. And Casey's over 500 episodes in, which kudos to him, man. I was like, no, most people don't get over 10. So I'm like, that's amazing. Like in your experience, I mean, now from your end of the side of running the agency with the director, Matt Cook, and being in the weeds day to day with our clients while I'm on the road doing interviews and other things, like the shows that are successful or the podcasters that are versus aren't, like, give me some of those things that you've noticed through your journey.
I mean, look, Casey alluded to this. We've seen it firsthand through the content you've done and many of our clients too. Number one, it's consistency and frequency across the board. Give you some basic numbers. I think today there's about 1 billion bloggers that exist in 2024. End of 2024, right? There's 140 million plus YouTubers. In comparison, there's only 4.2, let's just say 5 million podcasters, less than 5 million podcasters, right? 3 different mediums and channels, right? Podcasting is what blogging was back in 2004. Yeah. What YouTube was back in 2006, 2007. Yeah. In its infancy. And what's interesting is that 80% of podcasters stop creating content after month 4 or month 5. Simple math. 5 million podcasts in existence. Only 1 million podcasters are consistently creating content after their month 5 or 6. Yeah. So what ends up happening is if you can withstand that, then number one, you're just going to stand out because you've done something long enough than most people in the industry. So you're already one of 1 million, right? And there's 8 billion people on this planet. I mean, it's really just the start of what's happening. So number one lesson really is if you can, number one, launch a podcast and do it longer than 6 months, you're already the top 80%. Yeah, right there. Just from numbers.
One step further, so strategy. Talk a little bit about the strategy that goes behind not just the launch, but like consistently growing a show.
A few things. Number one, content matters. So you got to understand who are you, right? I mean, it's everything that we teach in our personal branding course, right? Everything that comes down to this, it boils down to who are you? What are you doing? What are you standing for? And why are you creating this podcast in the first place? So you got to have like your intention in place, right? And part of that is, what is your authentic voice? Like, are you interested in talking about yards and floral? If you're a florist, are you interested in talking about business and entrepreneurship? There's podcasters that talk about basketball, right? So you kind of have to figure out your niche, and then you have to figure out your voice. That's part of it. And then it's starting off. I think the hardest thing is people just don't start, and everyone's going to suck, right?
Yeah.
Think of
fear aspect, right? The fear aspect is a thing.
getting over the fear.
That's the thing.
Absolutely. And so it's just it's practice, right?
Yeah.
It's like your first time riding a bike. You're going to fall, you're going to get hurt, but you got to get up and do it again.
And for everybody listening, hold on, let's take on the fear aspect for everybody listening. Like my first even shows before Chirag and before anything else, I didn't even use my name. Like I was so scared. So if I can do it, I tell everybody you can do it, because I was the most fearful. Didn't use my name. Wouldn't even be in front of camera until we had like 2,000 episodes in, and then you finally pushed me like, Adam, this is ridiculous. We got to do a video, like add video. And I'm like, but I don't want to. And then, but before that pre-video, I didn't have to wear my suit again, but now you got me back out, you know what I mean? But pros and cons, right? Pros and cons.
Yeah, so look, once you kind of get over the fear, right, in terms of building and growing the show, you get a little bit more tactical. Once you kind of figured out your voice, and how do you find more guests that are aligned with the content that you want to create, right? And how do you find the biggest name guests?
Yeah.
And then try to get them on the show, because then you could build an audience you can build your audience off of their audience, right? So their digital presence, their virtual presence, because they have millions of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers, will become your followers, because those people are fans of those people anyways. And so now they may follow you, right? That's one way. Another way is you got to create the video content now, especially for 2024. You have to create video content.
Yeah.
And then you got to snip it up into shorter snippets. So now you can get content on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and build all the other channels. All that content will drive more traffic right back to your audience. That's kind of the baseline. That's the day and age we're in now. So you got to create all that video content and other forms of content beyond just the audio podcast. Be consistent, right? Again, weekly show is what I recommend. And that's the ideal scenario where you want to be. If you can create content more consistently and frequently than that, absolutely do it if you can, right? But this is just very simple bandwidth. You do those things, and then you can get a little bit more creative if you have the team, or if you know what you're doing, right? Where you can do a little bit of ad buying, you can do a little bit of PR, you can publicize your podcast, you can come to events like this, right, in front of people and start building an audience. You can launch an email newsletter, so now you can captivate and be in direct communication with your audience. And so these are all more tactical things, but again, if you can do the 3-4 basic things, I think and last longer than 6 months, you're already better than 80-90% of the podcasters that exist out there.
Awesome. Last thing I want you to do, look into the camera. How can people follow up? How can they learn more?
Absolutely. So anywhere on Mission Matters, you can find me. But my handles across every single medium is Chirag, D as in dog, Sagar, my last name. That's it. On YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Feel free to follow me, add me, tag me, and follow back. Happy to answer any questions, any inquiries that come in. And I know everything will be shared on all the podcasting channels. So
Awesome. And for everybody listening, we'll put the links in the show notes, so you can just click on the links, go check out Chirag's profile, go follow, all that good stuff. And speaking of the listeners, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're releasing new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow. And Chirag, man, great to have you on the show. I'm telling you, good to see you. I ain't seen you in a while.
I know. All the spiritual things, man.